Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today, I would like to share with the members of the House of Delegates a little bit of Black history about my hometown, Norfolk, Virginia, and our treasure that we hold dear, the Attucks Theater. The Attucks Theater was the brainchild of the Twin Cities Amusement Corporation, which was an enterprise run by Black businessmen from Norfolk and Portsmouth. Their vision was to develop a state-of-the-art cultural center in the heart of a minority community where patrons would be treated with dignity and respect. The Attucks is noted as the nation's oldest remaining theater that was completely financed, designed, constructed, and operated by African Americans. Named in honor of Crispus Attucks, an African American who was the first person to die in the Revolutionary War, the theater was designed by noted architect Harvey N. Johnson. When it opened in grand fashion in 1919, the Attucks showcased plays, concerts, vaudeville, and movies at a price its audiences could afford. During its heyday, a host of legendary performers graced the Attucks stage: Cab Calloway, Bessie Smith, Duke Ellington, Sarah Vaughan, Lionel Hampton, Nat King Cole, Dinah Washington, Count Bessie, Louis Armstrong, Ruth Brown, Billy Eckstein, Red Fox, Smokey Robinson, Gary U.S. Bonds, and many, many more. What attracted such an impressive roster of performers, you may ask? The Attucks was one of the most modern and well-equipped theaters of its time, wrote Bernard Peterson, Jr. in the African American Theater Directory that ran from 1816 to 1960. It was, quote, one of the outstanding Black-controlled theaters of the 1920s, Peterson said. Heralded for its cultural contributions, the Attucks was a much-needed home for other activities. It became a vital platform for advocating social and political reform. It offered a place for church services and religious concerts. It held the offices of leading doctors, dentists, attorneys, and other professionals. It was also an adjunct facility for Norfolk Public Schools, hosting poetry readings, music recitals, writing contests, graduation exercises, and of course, Black History Week exhibits. In 1953, the Attucks ceased to function as a theater. Soon, the historic building became home to local retailer Stark and Legham Fashions. The Attucks was gone, but it would not be forgotten. In 1985, Father Joseph N. Green, Jr., the former vice mayor of the city of Norfolk, began exploring the idea of restoring the Attucks. By 1990, the Crispus Attucks Cultural Center had been incorporated to raise the millions of dollars needed to resurrect the historic theater. In 1991, the Crispus Attucks Theater received tax-exempt status from the IRS. An executive director was hired for the theater in 1994, and its board was reorganized. 2 years later, fundraising for the Attucks restoration began in earnest, and Congress designated the Attucks as a National Historic Landmark in 1997. The Crispus Attucks Theater's diligent fundraising efforts culminated in a groundbreaking ceremony for its restoration on August 27, 2001, held by the Attucks Partnerships, which included the Crispus Attucks Theater Board, the City of Norfolk, and the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority. With experience in more than 20 historic restorations, Vertexco Corporation was hired as general contractor, and construction began in September of 2001. From meticulously restoring the stage curtain to skillfully refinishing original doors, the renovation project was well planned and carefully carried out. the Attics was gradually coming back to life. Not only would the original theater be restored in its original splendor, a new 10,000 square foot wing was added as well. This new wing would enable the Attics Theater to accomplish its comprehensive mission of presenting artistic, educational, civic, and multicultural activities while emphasizing an appreciation for the richness of the African American experience. The stage's fire curtain depicting the Boston Massacre, which Crispus Attucks was the first African American killed, isn't the only original aspect of the theater that was saved. Ornamental plaster around the stage and wood guardrails at the third floor gallery, along with several original doors and chandeliers, and a gorgeous stained glass skylight have also been restored to their original beauty. Also preserved from the original theater are artifacts that have come to be known as the glowing-eyed angels. These plaster light fixtures above the box seats were state-of-the-art when the theater opened in 1919. Not so much right now, but back then electricity was still considered innovative. To show off, and in order to show off the theater's cutting-edge technology, the exposed bulbs illuminated the angel's eyes. These fixtures were removed and stored and later brought back and refurbished by the lamplighters of Williamsburg. The angels are now back in their proper places, overseeing the box seats. Madam Speaker, this unique national treasure serves as a multicultural resource for Norfolk's African American citizens, a focal point of the revitalization of the Church Street corridor, and the leading stimulus for community enrichment, educational opportunities, and economic growth. The Crispus Attucks Cultural Center celebrated 100 years in 2019. Madam Speaker and members of the House, I present to you a little bit of Black history from my hometown in Norfolk, Virginia.
Thank you so much, Delegate Williams-Graves, for sharing. Appreciate that.